Hey guys, and welcome to my first tutorial match for Shadowverse Evolve. Let's start with the preparations before the battle. First, each player should have one leader card to represent the class they are playing as. On the left, we have Arisa representing the Elf class or Forestcraft, and on the right, Erica for Royals or Swordcraft. So let's set these leaders in the leader zone. Next, you should have a 40 card main deck as well as a 10 card Evolve deck. The main deck is what it is, and the Evolve deck is kind of like your extra deck containing your Evolve followers. So you can only evolve your followers that have counterparts in your Evolve deck. Each deck can only have up to 3 copies of the same card. So setting these decks in position as well. Next, these 3 cards are EP or Evolve points, and they are only for the player going second. You don't necessarily have to use the official cards. Any markers to represent them should work, but I really like their design, so I'll be using them for my tutorial battles. Okay, now let's see which deck will go first. 12 against 7, so Elf will have the first move, which means we'll take these 3 EP cards and give them to the Royal deck. Now we set both leaders to 20 health, and then set their max and current PP both to 0. Then both sides draw 4 cards. Since this is a tutorial match and I'm still learning how to play the game myself, I think I'll leave the hands revealed for the duration of the battle. Now, before the battle begins, each player gets the chance to conduct one mulligan, sending all of the cards in their hand to the bottom of their deck in any order to redraw 4 cards. Royal has a 1-cost minion in hand, so I think they're good to go for an aggro deck. But for Elf, maybe we'll try a mulligan. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go, we have a 1-cost minion in hand. Alright, so with the mulligans complete, we are now ready to begin. With a shout of Battle Shadowverse! Elf goes first, and we begin with the start phase. During the start phase, you conduct 3 actions in this order. First, your max play points in blue increases by 1, and your current play points in green matches that value. Next, all of your tapped or act cards on the field are untapped into stand state. And finally, you draw 1 card from your deck. But if you're the player going first, you do not get this draw. Next, we move into the main phase. During the main phase, you can conduct any of these actions as many times as possible in any order. You may pay your play points to play cards from your hand, attack with your followers, activate the main phase effects of your cards, or evolve your followers once per turn. So since Arisa only has 1 play points in the first turn, she just pays 1 in order to play the Goblin. I'm going to use these colored dice to make the follower stats easier to see. So at base, the Goblin is a 2-2 with blue representing attack and red defense or life. Just like Digimon and Duel Masters, Shadowverse has Summoning Sickness, so normally, followers cannot attack the turn they are played. So Arisa ends her turn. During the end phase, these actions are conducted in order. You may act any number of your followers with the Ward keyword ability. Your opponent may use quick cards, and if your hand has 8 or more cards, you discard cards until you only have 7. When all of that is said and done, your turn officially ends, so now we move into Erica. In the start phase, gain play points to 1 and draw. Just like Arisa, she's only able to just play the Goblin now. Erica ends her turn, gaining points up to 2 and draw. Now first, since the Goblin has been on the field for 1 turn, Arisa will use it to attack Erica directly. Why not attack the other Goblin? Just like in Digimon, followers can only attack followers that are tapped or in the act state. When a leader is attacked, they simply lose life equal to the attacking minion's attack, which in this case is 2. So now Erica will take 2 damage, going down to 18 life. Now, for 1 cost, Arisa will play the spell Fairy Circle. Put 3 fairy into your EX area. So now, 3 fairy tokens will be spawned inside Arisa's EX area. The EX area is something similar to the remove zone in Battle Spirits, and essentially acts as an additional revealed hand. So now, Arisa is allowed to play the cards in her EX area by paying their cost. So paying 1 cost, she can summon 1 of the fairy tokens to her field. And thus, she ends her turn, gaining points to 2, draw. Now Erica is going to cast a spell as well for 2 cost, Forge Weaponry. Choose an allied follower, give it +1/+1, then draw a card. So the Goblin is chosen, upgraded to a 3-3, and 1 draw. Now that it is a 3-3, it attacks the opposing Goblin at only 2-2. In Shadowverse Evolve, when 2 followers battle, they clash and inflict damage to each other simultaneously. So since the enemy Goblin has 2 attack, the attacking Goblin loses 2 life down to 1. But since the attacking Goblin has 3 attack and the enemy Goblin has only 2, it depletes to 0 life and is deleted. Destroyed. Too much Digimon. With that, Erika ends her turn, gaining points to 3. Draw. With 3 attack, the goblin is quite a threat, so Arisa uses her fairy token to get rid of it. The goblin takes 1 damage and dies, but the fairy token takes 3 damage and dies as well. Now for 2 cost, Arisa will play the Amulets, Titania Sanctuary. On Fanfare, all of your allied tokens with the fairy trait gain +1/+1, but there are currently no fairies on the field. But it doesn't really matter, because as long as this amulet is in play, all fairy tokens that come into play gain +1/+1 automatically. So for 1 more cost, another fairy is played from the EX area, and with the +1/+1 from the Sanctuary, it becomes a 2/2. Arisa ends her turn. Points gain to 3. Draw. And now for 3 cost, Erika will play the Floral Fencer. She has no particular abilities, but she can now be evolved for 1 cost. Now you might be wondering, since Erika is at 0 play points, how is she going to pay the cost to evolve the Floral Fencer? Well, that is where these evolve points come in, and this is the advantage of going second. Basically, once per turn, when you want to evolve your follower, you can use 1 of these evolve points to pay for 1 of that cost. So since Floral Fencer only requires 1 to evolve, by paying 1 EP, her evolved form can be taken from the evolve deck and placed on top of her. Evolve! And when Floral Fencer evolves, summon a Steel-clad Knight and a Knight. Similar to the fairy tokens of the Elf deck, these are the tokens relevant to the Royal deck. One more thing to keep in mind, when a follower evolves, it can attack enemy followers even if it was just played this turn. However, since there are no tapped or act followers on Arisa's field, the Floral Fencer has no targets. So Erika simply ends her turn, gaining points to 4. And draw. For 4 cost, Arisa is going to play the Great Wolf Okami, a 5/5. And then with the fairy token, she attacks Erika directly, inflicting 2 damage. She ends her turn, gain to 4 points, and draw. First, for a total of 2 points, Erika will play 2 Ninja Trainees. Then she launches attacks with Floral Fencer, Steel-clad Knights, and Knight, for a total of 7 damage directly at Arisa's face. Finally, for 1 cost, she plays the spell Unbridled Fury. Choose an enemy follower and deal X damage to it. X equals the number of allied followers you have in play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means the powerful Okami is instantly taken out. With 1 play point remaining, Erika ends her turn. Boosting to 5, stand and draw. Dropping 4 cost, first another copy of Okami is played. Then for 1 cost, the final fairy from the EX area is played and becomes a 2/2 with Titania Sanctuary, which triggers Okami's effect. Whenever another allied follower comes into play, gain 1/1, so he now becomes a 6/6. Now, at this moment, Arisa has 13 life remaining, while Erika has a total of 11 damage potential on the board. There are currently a total of 5 units on Erika's field, and this is the limit, which means Erika can't put any more units on top of this. So although Arisa could use this fairy token to defeat the Knight or the Steel-clad Knight, perhaps it might be better to leave Erika's field capped out at 5, so she can't do anything funny with any on-play or fanfare effects. So with that, Arisa bravely ends her turn, pumping the play points up to 5. Stand and draw. Well, in this state, there isn't much Erika can do, so she simply launches an all-out assault with all 5 followers on her field, for a total of 2, 6, 8, 10, 11 damage, reducing Arisa to just 2 life. But with that, she ends her turn, pumping the points up to 6, and draw. Now first, Arisa will use her 2 fairy tokens to attack the 2 Ninja Eggs, destroying all 4 of them. And then, paying 6 cost, come forth, the bewitching monarch of the fairies, Fairy Princess Aria. On 5/5, when Aria hits the field, she activates her fanfare ability. From among 9 fairy, summon any number of them and put any number into your EX area. Since Arisa's field currently has 3 cards, she can only summon 2 fairies to the field before the capacity is maxed. So 2 fairies spawn at 2/2 each with Titania Sanctuary. And then, since there are still 7 fairies to choose from, 5 out of those 7 are placed in the EX area because the EX area also has a max capacity of 5. Now, 3 allied followers have just been put into play while Okami is on the field, so he rises +3/+3, so I'll have to use 2 dice to represent his stats. Not only that, as long as Arya is in play, all of your other fairy followers get rush, which means they can attack enemy followers the turn they are played. So first, the bottom fairy token attacks the knight, destroying it, but taking 1 damage in the process. And now the second fairy token will move to destroy the steel-clad knights. Unfortunately, Erica has something up her sleeve. Upon the fairy token's attack declaration, she pays 2 cost to activate the quick spell Forge Weaponry to give one of her allied followers +1/+1 before drawing a card. So the Steel-clad Knight becomes a 3/3 and 1 draw. So the result of this is that the Steel-clad Knight survives the attack with 1 life remaining while the fairy is obliterated. Next, with its ridiculous 9/9, the Okami will attack the evolved Floral Fencer. Okami takes 4 damage, reducing him to 5 life, but of course the Floral Fencer is crushed. When an evolved unit is destroyed, the evolved form is returned to the top of the evolved deck face up to indicate that it can't be used anymore, while the follower below is sent to the graveyard. There is nothing else for Arisa to play, so she ends her turn. However, at this very moment, Princess Arya's Ward keyword ability activates. As a follower with Ward, during the end phase, she can be set to act, aka tapped. And as long as she is in this state, enemy followers must target her for attacks. So as long as she is around, Arisa's final 2 life will be protected. Moving the play points to 6. Stand and draw. But, very unfortunately, Erica has the perfect counter in her hand. Paying 3 cost, she casts the spell Onslaught. Choose an enemy follower, deal 5 damage to it, then put a knight into your EX area. Arya only has 5 life, so she is now crushed. A knight is placed in Erica's EX area, but now that the ward is gone, the Steel-clad Knight can simply attack Arisa directly for 3 damage. And with that 1 strike, Arisa's life will be reduced to 0. Which is such a shame because Arisa literally is like the biggest, baddest wolf on her field right now. I'm so excited to see what it can do next turn. So you know what? Fine, Erica wins this tutorial match, but let's rewind time a bit and imagine what would have happened if she did not have Onslaught in her hand. So I'm just gonna banish it for my own selfish interest and we'll replace it with another draw. Okay, at least it's not another Onslaught. But I just realized Erica also has White General in hand, so she could also pay 4 cost, drop White General. Since he has Rush, he can attack enemy followers the turn he is played, so he can go and attack Fairy Princess Arya since he has 5 attack. She dies, and then Steel-clad Knight can go for the final blow. So just for the sake of fun, alright, let's say Erica plays 6 cost to drop 2 fencers on the field. With their fanfares, an allied follower can gain +1/+1, so let's say both are given to Steel-clad Knight. So he attacks, he is forced to attack Arya, and since both their attack is higher than each other's defense, both are defeated. But since Erica has no other followers that can attack this turn, turn over. Okay, pumping the play points to 7. Stand, my wolf with 9 attack and draw. First, for 1 cost, we play 1 fairy token from the EX area. She becomes a 2/2 with Titania, and since an allied follower was played, Okami becomes 10. And then for 1 cost, the Amulet Woodland Refuge. On fanfare, choose an allied follower of the fairy trait, give it +1 attack. So we give it to the fairy token that was played last turn and can attack. Next, with Woodland Refuge's main phase skill, you can X this card and pay 1 cost to return it to your hand. And then for 1 cost, we play it again. To 4. 1 cost, act, return. 1 cost, play. And again, the fairy token rises to 5. But at this moment, the Okami has 10 attack and the fairy token has 5. So even if we attack with both of them, Erica's life will only go down to 1. This was pretty fun. I'm enjoying the game so far. Up next, watch out for my opening video of the next 2 starter decks and my tutorial match between them, showcasing their 2 mechanics.